5. That's
Oh.
slow.
Oh, that's, all right.
That's the going home.
All right, thank you. Okay. All right, call to order. Good evening, everyone. Good day, good late afternoon. So do we don't have minutes, or do we have
I
minutes?
do, they're stapled
just
to
got
your
them.
agenda.
Oh, thank you. All right. I guess I'll take a motion if we can for approval of the minutes from our last meeting. I was in. You weren't there, yeah.
Second.
Well, who has to make it? You wanna make a motion, Mark?
I'll second.
You
Motion
make
to
a
accept
motion.
the
All
meetings
right.
for the last.
Okay. Although, any questions, any changes? I know people haven't had much time. All right, all those in favor? Thank you. Yep. 2 abstentions. Oh, Bill's here. Hey, Bill.
There's another way.
Yep. All right. So, we want to do sort of the introduction to the, no, to.
Yeah, oh,
to
the overview?
To the overview.
Sure, we can tee that up for you. We did that last night. So Jody and I and the department heads, I just wish to take a moment to thank all of the department heads. And in particular, again, as I did last year, I really wanna single Jody out for her tremendous work in this effort for a draft fiscal year 25 budget. We feel as though it is a conservative, however, proper budget to meet the needs of our service delivery to the town. We'll talk about some of the highlights, and Jody and I will kind of tag team that a little bit as we go through. Last year, you remember that you were very supportive of our request for a number of positions. I believe they numbered about 10 personnel that we added in public safety to include fire, dispatch, and police. We moved someone from the assessing office from part-time to full-time. And there were some other adjustments that we made. And so for that, I wanna go back and say thank you again for that support. Recognizing that this year, we are only asking for what I'll call 1/3 position. And that is someone that we asked that would start in October in the Public Works Department as an administrative assistant to the director. Right now, the director and the deputy director are the ones that answer the phone and handle everything coming in. And it's not really affording them the opportunity to do the work that we need them to be doing. And the other position would be a half-year request, and that is for a half-year person in Public Works as well. That would be an equipment operator, someone who can operate off the trucks and plow snow for us and do some of the road maintenance that we typically need done. Those are the only positions that we're asking for this year, recognizing again your great support last year. During the course of the year, we negotiated 4 union contracts. Those took place over the duration of probably 8 months. But we were able to, and again, thank you to the select board for the work that you did to support, but we were able to meet marketplace wages for our unionized personnel. The unions are police, fire, public works, and general government. And what we did is we looked at, we did a real market analysis. We took comparative contracts in many communities and we identified where we were behind in wages and we were well behind. And so the effort was to get our personnel into that, say 65th percentile, give or take a little bit, to put us in a very competitive marketplace. We've done that, and I will tell you the fruits of that effort have worked extremely well. We have attracted very high qualified personnel in each of the departments that we've been seeking. We brought in paramedics into our fire service, some who had worked here previously and had to leave because they sought higher pay. They've been able to return back to what they call home because they live here. So those efforts have brought us to a position here where we've really tried to put a focus on maintaining our personnel, being able to attract quality personnel to supplement our workforce here. And then I'll turn it over to Jody about some of the impact we've had on revenues and how those have gone forward, and then we'll talk about capital.
Sure.
Mike, just a quick question.
Mhm.
Union contracts, police, fire, public works, what was the
And
fourth?
general government.
General
So
government.
general government would entail many of our administrative personnel in this building. It would be our code officers, folks in the assessing department.
Thank you.
So in this budget, we do see increases in that we thought were significant, auto excise tax, interest earned, revenue sharing, tree growth, homestead reimbursement, the business equipment tax exemption, police salary reimbursement, local roads reimbursement, and transfer station disposal stickers. And then another big thing, everyone likes to know if we're under the LD1 cap. We are definitely under the LD1 cap this year because of the revaluation. Our cap grew considerably, but we're proud to bring you a budget that is under the LD1 ceiling by $7,577,000. Mike talked about the staffing changes. We can also talk about some increases that you'll see in budgets throughout the departments. We looked at stuff, we highlighted on stuff that were over 5,000. So in finance, you'll see an increase in postage, the town manager and event support. In general government, which is this building here, you'll see an increase in the building line. In the police department, you'll see increases in vehicle replacement, agreements and contracts, equipment, gas and oil. In fire, you'll see increases in vehicles, air packs, medical, and gas and oil. Dispatch, their radio console line is up. In the public safety facility line, you'll see electricity up. And public works, so we talked, public works and facilities merged because of a realignment of the employees and everything. So public works and facilities have some increases in water, repair and maintenance, town landscaping and winter service. Their hired equipment operators for snow and ice, and their fuel and lubricant line. Transfer station has a increase in an equipment line. IT infrastructure is up for the maintenance line. That's a lot of our service agreements for all the network software that we run here. Parks and Rec is up in operating supplies. The quarterly payment for the ambulance has gone up. And grants, you'll notice that the Historical Society is coming forward with a big increase. Part of that is because they're asking for help with a CIP project. The Transportation Center is up for outside services. Our fixed charges are up because we added another bond. Property and casualty is up with insurances.
When we met today, I also made note of the fact that as one would expect, salaries and operating expenses and general fund, all these things have been on the increase. Well, you look at here, or I am, is that the revenues actually, by number, went down. But that's because of an accounting bucket that was created. I guess the code enforcement revenues now are in enterprise, thus they are put in a different bucket. And if that were thrown back in here, I do believe it would be an increase, an actual increase.
Yeah, and that's an excellent point. We did meet earlier today. And so when we look at the revenues, you will see what appears to be a little bit of a decline. But remember that the Budget Review Committee, supported by the selectmen, asked us to create an enterprise account for the Code Enforcement Office, which we have done. And so when we move those expenses into an enterprise, we also move the revenue. So as you said, it's in one bucket, not the one that you might normally see. But the enterprise account kicked off January 1st, and I'm very encouraged. I think we're gonna have a very productive process there.
Okay.
Those are kind of the highlights. We'll go through, and all of that will have detail when the time comes for each, and then we'll, obviously, when you get to capital, we'll have a lot of detail for you.
Anything else?
After hearing all of that, I just wanna say that in the range of about a 3.31% increase when we take into account what we envision for the schools, and that's only an estimate, we don't know where they'll be, what we envision for the county and what we know of our proposal. That's about all we're looking for, and you can probably share on the total for $1 million, 15 cents, you wanna
You're reading
maybe
it.
break that down?
Yep, so just for your information, if we add add $1 million, you add 15 cents to the tax rate. So if you take out $1 million, you save 15 cents.
So the rate.
Right, so 1.5 cents per 100,000, basically.
The average home value now, do we know? I get it,
Yeah,
So $575.
$575. Thank you.
And I'm sure you all know the tax rate is $5.96.
Know that well.
Happily, I hope.
With the estimated to go to 614. Okay, alright, great. Well, you wanna start then, and get into the first, the town clerk, so Adam?
Yeah, so, and let me know, cause I wasn't here for this part last year, so
Yep.
if you need more information, less information, let me know. But overall, wasn't too many surprises with this one. I mean, mainly from last year, it's an increase in $18,000, but after I talked with Jody, most of that is from salary and benefits from the increase in the union workers there, so that sort of tracks with that 5% increase that we were talking about earlier. The other thing of note is sort of the election costs and sort of overtime and election workers that run with that, because this is an election year with the general election set to happen during this time frame. That's where some of the increase is coming from as well. So those were the two drivers really for the $18,000 over from last year.
That's for the salary and benefits, anything in operations that were,
Nothing of note, just the $200 was more adjusting actual spending so far to last year. And then same with revenues, was just sort of minor adjustments.
When I see the line for elections, what does that mean in town clerk?
Under the operations, the 16,000.
Yes.
So that is the money that they spend for supplies for elections, so ballot, buying ballots
Okay.
and things like that.
And it's a presidential election year, so that cost is great.
so let's go around, we'll start with Bill, any questions about it?
Nope,
Dave? Nope. Bob?
Nope.
Alright, Mark? Nope. Okay, you wanna make a motion, Adam, for the 26,940?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the, what was that number?
Well, okay, so
The
we don't take,
operating.
we don't vote on the salaries, we're
Okay.
just, it's okay to discuss the salaries, but yeah, in a budget, but we're voting on the operations.
Just the operation.
So
Okay.
it's the $26,940.
Yeah, so motion approve the $26,940.
Second.
Brian seconded. Any further questions, discussions? All those in favor?
Can I have you vote, this one has revenues, could I have you vote on the revenue
Oh, sure.
portion up top too?
Thank you. Thank you. Alright, so let's go through, did you discuss the revenues at all, Adam, or anything to say about that?
Yeah, no, nothing really stood out on this one, just again, adjustments tracking towards what the actuals are. Hunting and fishing went up $500, that's mainly from just higher fees and state fees, if I'm understanding correctly, so there's some added revenue there. The one thing, in case anyone has questions, with boats, you'll see that the actuals are trending well below the projection, and that's mainly because most of that revenue comes in the spring and summer during boating season.
Bill, do you have any questions?
no.
Have we looked at adjusting any of the fees that we have out there? Talk to Selectmen about it.
It's actually on the board's agenda for Tuesday night, some fee adjustments.
Cause we also have campgrounds out there that are paying $100.
Yep.
And they just sold a bunch of them to out-of-state companies for millions of dollars, and the town's taking the impact.
Yep.
More than, not doing anything, so we need to look at all our fees on that end.
Absolutely.
So last year, we, as part of an initiative from the budget committee, was to ask the town and the select board to look at all our fees, because Dave, we agree, we're leaving a lot of money on the table. and our rate's low, but it doesn't mean there isn't a place to find money appropriately.
Alright, I mean, we gotta look at the, you know, what services the campgrounds use, the hotels use, and, you know, restaurants for as far as any of that stuff there.
And those fees will help go towards the infrastructure costs that are gonna start coming up in the next few years, so.
Or this year.
Yeah.
I think we also noted that our fee structure is relative to other towns in the area surrounding us is, it's been relatively low at the low end.
Yeah, but at the same time, we're one of the only towns that have so many hotels and campgrounds and stuff. I mean, yeah, I mean, the other towns have them, but not as many as we do. And the impact on the beach and the parking and everything, all the infrastructure is tremendous.
Oh, absolutely. We shouldn't be at the end of the line either.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly too, we talked about this for like the harbor as well and boat slips and those fees as well, if I'm trying to remember that from last year. Not just the camping.
Bob, any questions? So I just have a quick, I'm sorry, I should remember this, but I don't. The town lodging revenue, what exactly is that 29,000 made up of?
That's what
Is
Dave's
that
kinda
what,
talking
those
about.
are the fees? I
It's the
was,
motels
Okay.
and
It's $10 a
yeah.
unit for
Yeah.
each hotel unit and $100 maximum for each campground.
that's what I thought, but I wasn't certain, right? There's clearly
Well, in the
a lot
board,
of money.
the board did adopt some new fees for that. They're $10 per unit at a hotel. And that was adopted after your request, and we always will be reviewing these further.
Well,
As-
$10 a unit was done 20 years ago.
They stayed with it.
It's still
It has, it's
$10.
$10 per unit. Scott, you're on
Like a
that
couple
committee.
meetings ago.
Yeah, we've actually still have one of the highest lodging rates in the area. There is room to increase in some other areas. As you remember, during that time, the reason we did that was so we could have a code enforcement officer look at the hotels, and that lasted a year or two, and then that code officer got kind of washed back into code because they had other needs, so we did leave that alone. We did increase, however, the new application rate, I think it's
Was it 250?
was it 250 or 500?
So the $100 per
250, I thought.
campsite stayed $100 per campsite.
We haven't looked at that yet.
That'll be coming up.
What does that include, just out of curiosity, the $100 per campsite, what is that, I mean, what's that for?
It's $1 per campsite up to $100, I think it is.
Oh, I'm sorry, so it's not that's right, $1, sorry.
Does that per, I'm just trying to understand the fee.
So if a campground has 50 sites, it's
Yeah.
a $50 license fee.
Oh, okay.
But a $50 license fee for the impact on the beach, which, you know,
Yeah, that's nothing.
that's the enterprise fund that's paying for that there, and, you know, needs to be looked at.
Agreed.
I mean, that's just disappointing, I have to say. That there's the continued impact of visitors, there's a benefit too for businesses, but the continued impact and what we need to do with our roads, we're hiring more fire, more police, more people, we go from what, 12,000 to 45,000 or something in the summertime, right? And now it's not just the summer, we were just talking about this, it's nearly all year round. And $100 maximum, when a campsite is now, the seasonal ones are going for $7,500 to $10,000 for the summer.
All the new ones
It's
I
no
get
longer $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 for the summer. I don't know, do we have any tent sites, but what is a tent
Yeah,
site,
tent
$30,
sites.
$40 a night, no longer $18, $12 a night?
And you also have to look at the hotels that are getting 300 to $350 a night.
Right.
That, I mean, $10 is nothing.
There's no Motel 6 like fees anymore. I mean, that's really disappointing, I have to tell you. I'm sorry, on this budget committee, that is really disappointing. That we really put forward an effort to ask the town to seriously look at fees and not unfairly raise them, but to leave it the same is really disappointing, I have to say.
Yep,
But it
and a
does-
hotel
It's
room's
very
$300 a night.
disappointing.
in the
But it
summer.
does continue to be one of the highest fees in the state.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter, we're also really low, it really doesn't matter whether we're high or we're high here, but then when we're low here, you know, we have, the other fees we're looking at is the code fees and the building fees. Those have stayed the same, well, they've gone up, but they haven't, we're not applying it the way other towns are doing, we're still leaving, I don't know what, we haven't seen the budget yet,
We're
what they
actually, we
anticipated.
actually did look at and we did a really good
No,
job raising that one.
But we kept the we haven't seen it yet, cause we haven't
Yeah, you
seen the
haven't
budget,
seen
but,
it
right?
because it's a good one.
But you kept the calculation of it the same method rather than the method used by other towns. Which
Really,
it's,
Went by square foot
you
instead
went
of by value.
right, but instead of value, you went by square foot. So a person who builds $1 million home at 2,500 square feet, cause you could do that, I suppose, is
Right.
paying the same, as someone who builds a 25 square foot home at $400,000. The other towns are doing it, and am I wrong that the
Yeah,
calculation's
no,
the same?
I think you're twisting it in a wrong way. People that are paying $750,000 to $1.5 million for a house and are building it are not building a 2,400 square foot house.
I know, but it's still, the towns around us are doing it based on value, not square footage.
We increased it and quite a bit, and we're now right, where are we? Compared to all the towns for the total impact fee or the total fee for the permitting for building a house is right in the middle of everyone else. We're not, we were actually the lowest of all, and we brought ourselves up, so I think we're right in the top,
Have we covered the $1 million gap we had last year?
the $1 million gap.
Well, if you calculated the way that other towns were doing it, we were $1 million, we left $1 million in revenue on the table. If you estimated that last year, have we covered that $1 million loss?
I bet you're pretty close,
We're pretty close.
pretty close.
Well, we haven't seen it, so.
So that we did do, and as far as the motels and the stuff, we're doing it in stages, because in order for us to actually to look at what the town, what a motel or whatever is doing, we've had to change the whole application and fee and a licensing application every year, so that we didn't have anywhere near enough information on those places. We didn't have exactly how many units and stuff, so in order for, because the only thing that we have is the license to be able to push, am I correct when I say that? I just wanna make sure I'm saying that right. But when they do their license fee, we can stop them from having a license and maybe stop them from running the business, but that is the pressure that we have and the control we have on them. So we weren't getting the proper information, we didn't give them an application that would have filled out all the information that we wanted. And we're doing that in stages. The lodging facility group and everything have been working on it.
But what we're hearing is the $10, irrespective of the process, is gonna stay $10, right? You're not looking and saying, well, the next round, we're gonna increase the fee.
I believe that we are looking at increasing the fee, but we have to get the correct information before we can do that.
And that's a small part of it. We're also
Yeah.
looking at short-term rental licensing.
Right.
So that's gonna be a huge piece of it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
So we are looking at it. I mean, you can't just jump into it and just say jack it up or whatever when you don't have the proper information or the feedback and knowing that we're actually controlling or doing the right thing appropriately across the board. Does that make sense? We didn't have all the information. If you were a restaurant and you had to fill out a license application every year you had 15 pages of information, you had to do a sketch of everything. There was none of that.
It's 4 questions.
4 questions, that's all there was. So we had to recreate that in order to start to build the foundation, so we know what we're dealing with when we go forward and increase the prices.
I do have to kind of agree with Ron in respect to nomenclature. If you're doing a calculation, you want to use a calculation that stays current. Valuation does, square footage doesn't. That's Stone Age. And I think this sort of falls over into the code enforcement fees that were so low for so long, not even looked at, and we tackled that nicely. And I think when it comes to these other areas, we have to appropriate the right nomenclature for it.
And I think you have to take into consideration, I don't wanna belabor the point necessarily, I appreciate Kathy, the explanation, but and we don't have all the information.
No.
So I'm hearing that we've not received, you know, basically we just got the message that everything stayed the same. Alright, now
For that one
you've
particular fee.
explained, right, but you know, at the same time, there are people who are very upset about a doubling of a fee. Like, I don't care personally about the transfer station fee going in double, but there were plenty of people who are upset that you get double the fee, but other fees don't get touched. So I think that that's something you just have to think about. I mean, personally, I don't care about the bag fee, but you know, that's not up to me.
Right.
But I understand people are upset with things like
And
that.
it's all a process, so I mean, it's not something that's gonna happen with the snap of a finger, because it's not as
Takes
easy
time.
as that.
But we have made a commitment to look at the fees, and we are doing that, as Mike pointed out, that it's on the agenda for Tuesday night. There's a lot of work that's been done, but there's a lot more that needs to be done.
Can I ask a question? Is there gonna be a separate committee set up to look at specifically just fees that are being imposed upon the town?
No, we look at them.
Or
So, alright, go ahead, Ed.
Logistical question, and so understanding that like the hotel fee, let's say, it has been decided not changing, you're still looking at the campsite one, it sounds like shortly. If that were to, let's say, go up, would that be reflected in this budget for 24-25, or would that be 25-26?
Maybe the next one.
Brian, do you have anything?
I'm good, thank you.
Mark? Okay, you wanna make a motion for the 79,700?
Motion to approve the 79,700 for town clerk.
Second.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
I do have a question,
Sure.
and really just procedurally, with the lodging revenue, a lot of this, and I'm not trying to take away from what the town clerk's office does, because they do a ton, but a lot of this is being borne on the back of code enforcement to try to deal with the issues. Are we looking at moving this revenue to the enterprise fund for code, or are we gonna leave it in the town?
We have to look at how we will do business inspections and the revenue. It won't be in this budget because we have to then shift personnel, perhaps work them a little, but it certainly is something we're looking at.
Alright. Assessing, Mark?
This afternoon, excuse me, procedurally, can we get a chair for the department head?
Oh,
I'm good here, I'm
so-
here.
No, I know you're here, but come on up.
I'm
Come on up, Julie.
Have to sit right in the middle.
Like, really, do I have to? Really?
She loves us.
You didn't think
Thanks,
I
Brian.
heard that, did you?
Thanks.
Oh, thanks, Brian.
You're welcome. This afternoon I met with Keely Lambert, CMA, the town of Wells assessor, regarding her proposed budget for FY 2024 and 2025. Her operating costs were totaling $15,000, which does not include the department's proposed labor cost. I'm gonna skip over the labor costs, but in any case, all the items of the $15,000 budget were fine. The only outstanding issue that I had, that I really believe that the town should be looking at, is consolidating basically what the individual departments can do as far as going out for internet providers. I think the town of Wells should be negotiating with either AT&T, Verizon, or one of them to get some kind of discount plan from the individual providers to save some money. And it shouldn't be left up to the individual departments to pick and choose who they wanna go to. I mean, it should be a general consensus.
Are you speaking on cell phones or are you speaking on our ISP?
Pretty much on the cell phones and your internet connections. I'm assuming that they're one and the same.
So
No.
what I have is a MiFi device, so it's a little puck, right, that allows me to use the internet as we're traveling throughout the town. And that's done through AT&T.
That really becomes a hotspot because of the work she does. We have those on some of our emergency vehicles so that we can locate 5 cell phones off of a hotspot. But they're not done independently. And you'll find when we do our IT budget and we have that discussion about how we're actually proposing the construction of some additional fiber for connectivity for some of our buildings. We've reduced and moved our servers into a more secure location. So that'll come in the IT component. But it really isn't that every department's out picking and choosing.
Okay. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Bill?
Nope.
Dave?
Nope.
Yeah.
No. Brian? No.
Okay. Motion for the 15,000? So moved.
Second.
Dave is second. Okay, Dave's second. Mark was first. Any further questions? All those in favor? Okay, great. Thank you, Keely. All right, so finance. So Bob and Bill.
Yes, the Bob and Bill Show. So you're looking at what we have here, should we start with finance revenues?
Yep. I think that's right, correct?
Yes.
There really isn't too much to say. There's what would be somewhat expected, an increase of $200,000 in excise tax on vehicles as times are fairly good now, people are buying cars, the price of cars are going up, so one would anticipate that number to increase as well. I think just about all the other items, other than interest earned, which is sort of a interesting category, went up 400%, but that has to do with the funds from the Jody, how would you put it?
We have a lot of bond funding right now in our accounts, the ARPA funding that hasn't been spent, plus our undesignated fund balance.
So all of a sudden we found an incredible interest rate, it's the quantity of money set aside. Let's see, revenue sharing, that is the state offered dollar amount that we took in, and that's gonna be up $200,000. And everything else is state reimbursement, homestead, veteran reimbursement, so those things pretty much speak for themselves. You wanna continue on the operations?
No, let's just, we gotta vote on this, so let's see if anybody has any questions. Dave, any questions?
No, not at this time.
Adam? No?
Good.
Mark? Okay, so you wanna make a motion for the 5.8?
Make a motion for the 5.8 million and round it off.
5819238,
Right, I should say that.
alright? A second? Brian?
Second.
Brian's gonna second, okay, all those in favor? Great. Alright, yeah, so operations then?
Okay, Bob, you wanna address that?
Operations, operating expenses are actually down year over year for this budget. It's really in good order, I don't have much to say about it.
Alright.
And salaries, I don't know if we wanna talk about
Yeah,
that.
we're not gonna do salaries now, but unless you have something
Nope, just
to
that
discuss. We can discuss salaries if you have something to say, yeah, sure.
only that it's 7.5 people as it's been and reflects a 5% increase to salaries. Other than that, it's all good.
Anything to add, Bill?
Nope.
Dave, any questions?
No, no, sir.
Adam? Alright, go ahead.
Why the large increase in postage?
So I run the postage in my department for the whole town hall.
What was the question?
The postage, why the postage went up.
Okay.
So in last year, 23 actuals was at 30,000, plus with absentee voting coming out and things like that. Yep.
Marsh? Wanna make a motion for the 192,000?
Make a motion for 192.
Second? Adam second, alright, all those in favor? Yeah. I'm just looking, okay, thank you. Alright. What was next? Employee benefits?
Yeah.
Okay,
Just the one line of
yeah, 18,000.
unemployment.
Alright. Anything to say about unemployment? It's the same, pretty much everything. So I know we're at the actuals of 61,100. Is that anticipated to go up there?
I would anticipate unemployment will go up just because our costs for employees have gone up, so it's direct tie.
Bill or Bob, anything to say about that? No, okay. Anybody have a question? It's 18,000. I'm just gonna ask generally instead of going around. Alright, motion for the 18,000?
Make a motion for 18,000.
Bob, second?
Second.
Alright, all those in favor? Alright. Fixed charges. Who wants to talk about fixed charges?
I'll talk. It's the debt service.
Yep.
So, principal and interest, looking for $2,082,613. We have the 2013 $3 million road bond expiring in November of 24, so that will come off in the fiscal year that we're talking about. We've also added the infrastructure bond in 2023, we got that in June of 23, so that one won't expire till November of 43. The other bonds that we have out there are the public safety bond that expires in November of 37, and the first infrastructure bond that we got in 21 that expires in May of 32. But,
Bill, any questions?
No questions on that.
Okay.
No, I'm not sure.
Bob, Brian? No. Mark, okay, I know it's good pay. We're not gonna default. Anybody wanna make a motion?
Make a motion, we accept the $2,082,613.
Second, who's gonna second? Brian second, all those in favor? Alright. Insurances.
Insurances are what they are.
Yep. So it's just the $709,009. Alright, anybody have any questions about that? Alright,
Just
Go ahead, go ahead.
due to the storm, how much damage, I mean, did that impact rates at all, or?
It won't yet. And
It'll happen.
It'll happen, we just don't know when. We, right now, actually, I believe Congresswoman Pingree will be in town tomorrow to do some touring. FEMA's been here. FEMA has also met with some of the residents. And so our infrastructure alone, I suspect, is going to be somewhere in that $3 to $4 million mark. But we hope the vast majority of that's going to be recoverable through FEMA. We're filing all the application work and also we hope, now we'll have to front some of that money. And so that's part of a later discussion on how we do that. And then we hope the reimbursement for FEMA, but we're still waiting for reimbursements from maybe two and a half years ago. But most of that we hope will be covered, such as seawalls, roadways that have been erupted and all.
Is there any kind of estimate as far as what the cost of the damage is?
No idea yet. As far as what for our infrastructure, we don't know yet what that is. And that includes all the cleanup and everything that's taken place. So we compile that and send the forms in. But I think we're gonna be in that $3 million range probably for the damage just the town has incurred on our infrastructure.
Thank you.
Is FEMA,
Mike,
I'm sorry,
go ahead, Dave.
do we have any self-insurance on this that we're gonna have to pay? Everything's gonna be covered?
None of that, we don't have anything that's self-insured that I know of. No.
Bill?
I was just wondering, what's the feedback on FEMA? Are they pretty much paying everything on time? Do we have
Describe on time.
delays? I'm just hearing
This
different
century?
things.
So when they pay it, they're on time.
That's really, you know, Ron's kind of right. I think with what we've seen across the entire country to include Maui, I don't know when that repayment will happen, assuming it will happen. But it can be years.
Yeah.
It has been years.
So that is a concern.
It is a concern. So we go back and we fix and we shore things up and we wait for the money.
I will note, congratulations on being 15% down on workers' comp. No, seriously,
It is-
that's good.
Yeah.
You know, we just to share, we do have a safety committee and we meet monthly and we talk about all the things we can do to mitigate potential exposure, so it's nice, thank you.
Good job. Okay, so the $709,009 is
No motion,
No
no.
motion, anybody? So move Brian, thank you Brian, Adam second, thank you Brian, okay, all those in favor? You guys are so cooperative. Alright, town manager.
Okay, so let's go to discuss operations,
Go ahead,
just operations.
yeah,
So,
no revenue, right, yeah.
no.
Making
And,
money.
So
We're
anyway,
making
the $609,980 seems to be,
It's,
uh,
it's a 213.5, it's a
oh, I'm sorry,
213,500.
yeah, okay. Having some eye procedures done
Yeah,
right now,
and
so
we,
I'm,
yeah, we're also just seeing this, so it's fine.
no, I know, but just had a shot in my eye the other day, so in any event, there's nothing remarkable here, as they say in the medical field. Things are pretty well established and stable, and so I really have no comments on the operations end of it.
Dave, anything? Questions?
No, nothing on the operations side.
Adam?
I have a question,
Yeah, go
Mike,
ahead.
I should have asked today.
Sure.
Or is it events, legal ads? What's that all about?
So if we have to do a legal ad about any postings or anything that we're required by law, we have to publish those in newspapers,
Okay.
oddly enough still.
Okay,
And the newspapers don't give those spaces away.
I know that.
That's unfortunate.
And event support? I mean, I
Um,
can guess what it, but what exactly is it?
so let me just find that. Is that,
It's above Harbor Park.
also event support, that's we talked about Rebecca, who is our communications and volunteer coordinator. She's, such as our volunteer appreciation day that we held, some of the events in Harbor Park.
Okay.
Those types of things,
Okay.
where we can do some community spirited events.
We expect it to double.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we do.
Mike, is
Go ahead.
the legal ad a state requirement?
They are,
It is, okay.
yeah. Unfortunately, we can't, we have to publish kind of in an old fashioned way right now.
Yeah.
You're probably the one thing that supports the paper now.
I was gonna say, it's one of the things that's out, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else you think
Yeah.
about legal ads? That's pretty
No,
much
that's
Papers
it,
used to
yeah.
support themselves on that stuff. Brian, anything?
I'm good, thank you.
Mark?
Just to say on the events, last year I attended that comedian thing and that was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think we should have more of those type of events in the town.
nice.
It was a good thing. That's it.
Thanks. Motion for the 213,500,
So moved.
Brian? Oh, Adam beat you to it, Adam's, alright, all those in favor? You gotta be quicker on the draw.
That's all right. Adam can handle it.
Okay, select board, we're gonna not get the select board anything this year, what do you guys want? Okay.
I think it's $1.
No, it's a $1 increase, so we get, I'll give you a
What's too much?
$2 increase.
Rounded.
How do you like that?
Like 25 cents a person.
Yeah,
Not even.
20.
that'll cover one campsite or one. See, you like the comedy, so. Alright, the BOS contingency fund, 50,000. It's gone up,
What is that?
it's gone up 900%. The slush fund has gone up 900%.
Let me retitle that. So I will say that is something I asked for. Last year, they were $5,000. And so we need only look back into January, 3 weeks ago. The contingency fund, and we wanna be very transparent about it, is when we have to call in experts to come in and help with our roads. We have to shore up damage from whatever may happen, and we're seeing it time and time again. That gives us a fund to reach into as we wait for FEMA dollars. It's not much money. It's not a slush fund. I know you're kidding when you say that, but we are being impacted more and more by unexpected events. And so it's just a matter to have something there. We obviously wanna be very clear with the public that what it's being spent for. But we need to have somewhere that we can reach in to be able to augment our needs. Although when we contract out to a company or two to come in and clear like Web Hannah Drive, we need to turn that bill around. They're expecting to get paid quickly. And so those are the types of things we may go to the board. And again, it's something the board has to release and discuss publicly. So that's why we asked to up that, just because of the unknowns.
I inquired a little bit about that today, and the only thing I was looking for was Donald Duck. There we go. In any event, where was I? That this is not just something to, oh, we got it, we'll spend it, no, it's there
No,
for very frugal.
right.
Right, so an absolute need, not
If we don't need it, I would certainly encourage we never spend it. But again, it's a very transparent process. It would be something that would have to go out to the board on an agenda for release, consideration and release. It's not anything we can just reach in and write a check.
There's no general operating fund that you have access to?
Jody, where do you pull things from? I mean, Peter to pay Paul?
A lot of things require the board to act on. In the warrant article, there's an article that allows us to go before the board if we had a big infrastructure repair that needed to be done to take out of the infrastructure fund, but it still requires public hearing and things like that.
Here's a perfect example, and 50,000 won't come close to it, but I spoke to our public works director today about Casino Square and that wall there and where we know the temporary fence and all is. And it was compromised from a storm a year ago, and we still are waiting for FEMA. It's been compromised further, and it was horrendous the way it looked last year, and a safety issue. So we did a lot to try to cordon it off. And I said to her today, Carol, I don't know what you're gonna do, but we need to do something and make it much more appropriate by May or June. And so she's faced with, where do I find the money and how do I find the skill set to address that? So that's part of what we'll be looking for. But we had a lot of concerns about the instability of the fence last year at that location, and somebody leans against it the wrong way, they could tumble into the rocks. So those are the types of things that come up that we have to look at.
Question, Mike.
Well, hold on, let's just go, yeah, Dave.
Can that be used for anything at all that the selectmen wanna use it for? I mean, I understand an emergency situation, but say the selectmen decide they wanna use it for something else.
I wouldn't suggest that their guardrails, whatever their guardrails might be, so that's theirs. That's more the board's decision.
Adam?
Are you expecting this to be an every year 50,000 adding to the contingency fund?
I wouldn't expect that if we don't use it, I would imagine that it would, we obviously it would revert over into the general fund, but we wouldn't be trying to build upon it. I don't see that need. Hopefully don't need it.
in many cases, aren't you looking for it to be reimbursed after you get it from
Absolutely.
the intended source?
Absolutely.
Question. Web Hannah Drive, it's over by where I live,
Mhm.
and that was destroyed. What did that cost to repair? Do we know?
Well, last year you mean?
No, the most recent storm.
It hasn't been repaired yet. I mean, it's okay.
Do we know, do we have an estimate of what it's gonna be?
We don't have an
Projection?
estimate. We have engineers coming out to give us a more firm estimate. One thing we do know, because you remember last year it was repaired
Yep,
and
Yep.
paved in January, I
it's
believe
gonna
it
be
was.
every year, I think.
And so one of the things engineers have looked at is how do you construct a concrete wall this side of the seawall and bring it down 8 feet. Because what they identified is the wave actions coming under the seawall and undermining the road coming up. So if they can drop that concrete wall in so that the waves are not getting into the road, we hope not to have to repeat this. But it's the same as what happened last year, so we start thinking, we need to mitigate, not just keep repairing. And so our hope is that FEMA will be okay with that concept, endorse it, pay for it, but in the meantime, when we're working on it, we need to get it done.
What did it cost last year?
I don't know the total cost on that. I know that we had to pay a fortune for pavement, we had to go to, I think, Drake, Mass. The only place you can get pavement in January. You just can't find pavement anywhere, so you had to go down there, but they have a mix that you can apply.
Okay.
Which was kind of fun, they put it down, it snowed that night and the snow didn't stick, so we didn't have to plow it.
I would just say that this is a rethinking of this fund significantly, because I did refer to it as a slush fund. Because typically, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, it was used, the high school came and said, we need some money for this trip or that trip, and it's like, okay, we'll give you $500 or $1,000. This is a significant increase and a significant rethinking of that process.
No, I
And-
understand now.
And it's a lot of money without any accountability really for it or itemization of it. Cause we don't normally say, can you itemize for us what you're spending the $5,000 on? We're like, because we know what it's basically used for. $50,000 is a lot of money. So I don't know how do we solve that problem if we're gonna vote to approve this.
Does it belong someplace else in the budget?
You get, yeah.
Is what
Well, it's a
I'm-
question, is there
Yeah.
another place?
I think it belongs under Public Works or something like that, to tell you the truth, as an emergency fund.
I mean, typically, would you, in the past, if you had to write a check for something, did it come out of some kind of general concept of an operating fund? Or like the question was asked, or?
So like last year when we repaired Web Hanet, that came out of paving. So,
No, but, so if you look at the tree work that had to be done last year, that isn't completed yet, right? If the money was under Public Works Department to be used only in those types of cases, instead of waiting to try to get funding from someplace else to go out and remove all the trees and chip them all down and get companies to come in, the money would be there, you just have to get the approval from select board, right? Because you have to do that anyway, you go to expend those funds. So it sounds like it just belongs in a different department, is what it sounds like. There's definitely a need for it with what's going on with the storms the last few years. It's where you want it budgeted, I think is the
So
question.
maybe we could put it under DPW and entitle it for emergency purposes or something.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, or we brought in under the warrant articles that similar to like if we need money for legal, additional money for legal, we put in winter storm operations, we put in 200,000 last year through the board. And that requires a board of selectmen, so maybe in with that kind of stuff,
Okay.
The only problem is that
potential expense.
we might have something that needs to be tended to that doesn't fall under Public Works.
But I guess the question is still, it's not a disrespect or anything, it's just a significant change. It's a significant change in the process and the thought, even the thought of this particular fund.
Yeah, but
That-
that fund's always been so they could use it for whatever they needed to, flowers for a funeral.
Right,
and
right,
things like
right.
that,
Got
yeah.
it, okay.
I mean, that's a lot of money sitting
$5,000
there for
too
that.
much.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Well, and now I appreciate the concern because I'm not accustomed to that situation,
Yeah, that
so
was-
I
mean,
understand that
it
now.
was always giving out flowers for a funeral
Yep.
or, $500 to the Boy Scouts or donation for this or that. I mean, if that money's sitting there, you can use it for anything other than infrastructure or, I mean, do we still have a self-insurance fund anywhere?
We do, so that's similar to what I was just talking about, is in a warrant article.
Wouldn't that be a place to put it for the time being, and then when we were reimbursed, we could go back into it?
So maybe just
So
keep
can
this
we
at
table
5.
that then and put it somewhere else and
Yeah.
vote on it later?
Would you consider 5,000 into this account?
Oh,
we
yes,
carried
yeah,
before?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, the 5,000.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You've spent more than 5,000 in the last couple of years, did you want to increase it any
Six.
amount at all?
You wanna go, what did you spend last year? 53?
Yeah.
Almost, you wanna go up to 6?
56, yeah.
Okay. Motion for $6,000? Mark? Bob, you want a second?
Second.
Alright, thank you, Bob. Alright, all those in favor? 6,000, thanks.
Thank you.
We have any motions in that section, we didn't vote as going through.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. Now we're just,
Last
general
page.
government.
Just one second, how
Yeah,
we
go
gonna
ahead.
handle that for the additional money, we're gonna open up another fund?
Or I think we'll talk
for
and then
mitigate-
bring it
or
forward
maybe
to,
a
yeah.
mitigation, maybe
Yeah.
a mitigation line item or something, in case of
Yes.
emergency.
Yeah.
And then whatever money comes in should go back into it sooner or
Correct.
later, so,
Yeah.
so, you
Almost a
know,
revolving fund.
as it grows, it could put it back in again.
Good idea. That's great. Alright, so general government. Bill and Bob, right? Bob and Bill?
Yeah, I don't think there's too much needs to be looked at here. I would myself just ask about the $13,000 increase in the building. Maybe you could answer that, Judy.
So the building line is used to pay for the cleaning of town hall, trash removal, everything building related. Year-to-date actuals are at almost 25,000 right now. Last year, we had spent 41,000. So with the year-to-date actuals and last year's actuals, we thought 48,000 was a better number.
Go ahead, Bill, you have another question?
No, I don't. Ready to move it?
Good. Mark, okay. Motion then, Bill, you wanna make for the
Make a motion, we approve the $83,900.
Can I ask a question before you go
Sure,
forward?
go ahead.
Does this, the building line, does that include the maintenance on the driveway out here from town hall, or is that in a different line item?
The plowing and everything is in, you'll see that in the public works,
That's there, okay.
yeah.
What
They,
about the culvert that's sinking into the parking lot? It's been that way for a while.
so that is a CIP project that was approved in the current fiscal year that we're in
Okay.
to do site plan drainage and things like that.
Okay, so we had a motion, second, Brian seconded. Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Great. Final cable TV studio. Alright, that's $10,000 flat. Any questions, Bill?
No.
Dave? Adam? No, Bob? Brian? No, Mark? Okay. Motion for the 10,
So move.
and Mark, you get the second. All those in favor? Alright. Well, he had his hand raised, I just I didn't force it on him.
Yeah.
Do we have any other topics or? That's it, anything? Brian?
No, wait a minute, what are we reviewing next week?
Oh, in your agenda, you have the schedule of who's reviewing what departments. Several of you weren't here last week, so you did get nominated for some.
You're off the hook though for next week.
We're doing conservation, library, information center, harbor, and the code and planning enterprise. Oh, and then I do have grants scheduled. My hope is that we can just cover whatever we can. I'll make sure the historical society's here. And then if something comes up when we talk about grants that we want somebody else here, I'll deliver it to you Monday morning.
Are there any, you talked about grants, and I apologize for not seeing it, but how much are grants up?
The historical society had the biggest
Yep.
request, and then I had a new one for $200 from the shipyard, Seacoast something.
Okay. The one thing about grants, remember, is that we typically have not been making people come and put a presentation together, but in case there's some significant increase or a particular desire of a member to say, hey, we wanna hear from these people. Should we be moving grants
I can,
because we don't have
Yep,
that
sure.
ability to do that?
Yeah,
And
that's
if the
fine.
historical society is a huge increase, we know that's gonna be a topic. It was a topic last year without
Yeah.
a significant increase, so. Is that okay with everyone?
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, they went up, grants in total went up 5.8%, 8,200 was the increase.
How much?
8,200, but some of that is the trolley came in at a lower amount,
Okay.
so the historical society's increase is kind of absorbing the trolley's lower amount.
Just a matter of thing, what's happening with the trolley? I mean, last year, it wasn't running full time. I'm just curious.
Can't get drivers.
So the trouble is there are no CDL drivers that are available. York County Community Action, we talked a lot with them. We even had some folks that reach out into Augusta to see if we might be able to get funding for, for our own trolley system. Just to lob that out there, we didn't go anywhere with it, cause obviously the board didn't hear about it. It was whether we could secure trolleys through grants. And then if we could do that, how would we find operators? And the big challenge are operators. Now, York County Community College is putting on a CDL training for that. And we also have some of our firefighters who are getting their CDL licenses. So we're trying to explore every avenue because the trolleys are hugely important to us. And as we talked about we'll talk later about the Route 1 corridor study, which also makes provisions for trolley stops in anticipation that someday we'll have those drivers back. But the quick answer is there are no drivers.
That could help school buses too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool, that's good. All right, Brian?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, Brian. Second, Mark, all those in favor? All right. We leave that.